welcome to Underground Trio. Once again, we have 3 different releases from 3 different bands of 3 different styles. We have one black metal band from Finland, we have some death metal band from Finland, and then we have some Norwegian black metal. And obviously I'm gonna go with the worst to best, like the thing here is on Underground Trio, according to my own opinion. Feel free to disagree, that's the kind of a point of here. And first I'm gonna do a little bit of unboxing, and then I'm gonna guide you straight in for the bands and the music and all that stuff. This first one is, I'm gonna read it because I'm not that good in German. Ungeziefer with Lebensfänger. Doesn't matter if this band comes from, you know, from Finland, it's all in German, except for this inside information in this J card. For some reason this is all English, but there are no lyrics, there are no even proper track listing here, except here it is. But I mean, you don't really get to read them like, okay, proper order and all that stuff. So this one is old school tape. This is almost basically a one-man band that is done with some help. Or I don't know if this lineup is actually more than one-man band, but I'll get to it in a bit. But definitely something different for you. The second one here is Panssarituho, Sanansaattaja. And this is also self-financed release. That is actually, the tape is not self-financed, even it may look like that. And this one is kind of old school traditional death metal with war themes and all that stuff. And this is CDR. So maybe if you get a little bit DIY feeling with this one, you know, being old school and all that stuff, a simple design and no lyrics whatsoever. It's explained with the CDR self-financed thing. And then we have this band from Norway called Tilintetgjort, In That I Shall Arise. Interesting title in my opinion, and this comes with rather fancy cover art as well. And this is Norwegian black metal in a kind of a timeless fashion. I'm gonna go once again in a little bit more details once we're done with the unboxing and all, but this is the debut album of this, I guess, rather new band, and as such this name might not ring a bell, but these guys are no newbies and you can pretty much hear it in the music, so we'll check out that in a minute. But so far now you know the order, and we'll start going through this Underground Trio pile with these 3 years. As you can see, this is a promotional copy, so no inlay papers here, so not the jewel case or whatever, just the kind of a basic things. But alright, here we go, and we'll start with the Ungeziefer, which it seems means vermin in German. So far this band has been all about demos, and that's pretty much of it. This band has existed for quite some time, and members list only Arno Kankaanpää as, you know, the main man, but the inliner notes actually showed a little bit more than that, so I don't know which really to trust in this case. Sometimes this kind of vague printing on a tape or CD or whatever is like giving you a little bit also misinformation about the lineup, but then again I'm really counting on Metal Archive said this because this could be just outdated. But whatever the lineup is, that's kind of a meaningless when we're talking about the music, Lebensfänger, and this is actually, technically speaking, even though it's a demo tape on cassette, you know, it's just like 8 tracks, which I got in 2 parts of MP3 files, so technically speaking something like 40 minutes give or take, and that is kind of a raw end of black metal. Sometimes it's just like almost like too rawish production for this kind of music, because it doesn't really support the music, but that are like hide some of the details. The thing here is, this is kind of taking me back to the early 90s and all that stuff, when you really didn't have a good production and so many albums, so many demos and all that stuff. So it was more like a part of the deal because of, you know, lack of budget, lack of understanding, recording and all that stuff. But nowadays it makes me all like is that kind of a gimmick? With this demo it kind of feels like that. Don't get me wrong, some of the ideas here are like riff-wise and all that stuff, pretty cool, but then there are lots of things which don't really get the support from the production, being very raw and all that stuff. And the songwriting sometimes is like, yeah, it's still very, very much on a demo phase. That might be the reason why this is kind of a side project, this kind of a thing, because it seems like a lot of these ideas just thrown in and let's see if it works. Now, if this only had a little bit better production, I guess it would really support the music in better, like, okay, these riffs now make more sense. But now it's more like DIY, rehearsal room take, and it seems like, yeah, maybe this is some kind of a cult thing, which you're going to only appreciate if you're already a fan of this kind of thing, or you don't mind the rather gimmicky approach to the stuff. I'm saying, for me, this is kind of basically the basic type of black metal. Think of it a little bit like Ulver's third album, not this Madrigal, but with less good riffs, and you're pretty much roughly somewhere where Ungeziefer is all about. Not bad, but I think this needs more attention, more focus, and in general a little bit better production to support the music, because the age of unnecessary rawness with its sound is kind of like gone. I mean, you can really justify it unless you really do it all the way, you know, Panzer Force or Under a Funeral Moon, Transylvanian Hunger type of stuff, and with those songs. So, Necro, sound, thanks but no thanks, unless you're really going Dark Throne with it. The second release is also from Finland, like I mentioned. This is a second album by the band Panssarituho, Puncher Destruction, literally translated. And second album, also a independent self-financed release. Basically, this is the kind of stuff you might like if you're into very basic 1980s, 1990s kind of a death metal with slow tempo, mid-tempo, a little bit faster parts and all that stuff. And you kind of get the war feeling, you know, like it could be really the next Bolthrower kind of thing or Shrapnel Storm or whatever, but this songwriting isn't that good. A lot of these things are like a demo phase band, which is then again very much something that happens a lot of self-financed releases, when there is nobody from the label side or whatever like saying like stop it, remove the bad components, go back to rehearsal room, hone those songs, or you know, a little bit that kind of a feedback. You end up with a result where you just could be happy about it, but the rest of the world is like, not yet. So this is much like a demo in full format, that is 35 minutes. Technically speaking, whatever Ungeziefer was already doing with their black metal. Production-wise, this is somewhat weakish, considering nowadays standards, that is. Maybe this could have been quite okay back in the 1980s, but nowadays it seems more like you're lacking the punch. The guitar sound isn't very good. It's doable. Drum sounds, vocals, quite okay, but it's quite okay, really enough for you to check it out. But some of the parts are actually, or ideas, songwriting parts, are that good that I wouldn't really call it totally mediocre. It's more like a mediocre plus, and hence it deserves a place number 2 in this Underground Trio video. So a potent band, but not there yet. So we'll be waiting for more stuff by Panssarituho when they're finally honing, taking the production to the next level, and also more importantly, the songwriting as well. Which leads us to the last album here on the big pile, and this is Tilintetgjort from Norway and Oslo. And debut album, and you might take a look at this members list and you will see that a lot of these guys are actually quite veterans of the scene. And their black metal is actually surprisingly 1990s oriented. That is, they have quite lengthy songs and all that stuff, but it's almost like reminding me of old Død Heimskard, old Emperor, and other Norwegian bands, which I'm like, it's almost like within my fingers pointing. So the thing here is, this album is actually quite interesting, but not fully honed, not fully focused to the best parts of it. But it's quite good, and you know, the production is kind of organic. It's not superly produced, superly great, polished and all that stuff, but I mean, it's kind of a fitting. Some of the parts are really good, and then there are lesser parts which are like, maybe this could have deserved more attention, more focus, and more honing. But overall, I would say this is pretty interesting an album. And by pretty interesting, I mean this is much like Emperor's Anthems, but less clean vocals and those progressive elements, in the sense that it's a little bit ups and downs kind of a thing. There are bumps which you don't really like, but there are lots of parts where you're like, hey, this is actually pretty good. So kind of a timeless album, but if I had to pick an era for this, I would say this is something like mid to late 90s of Norwegian black metal. And as such, it kind of ticks the right boxes for me. So I do like it, but I could like it a little bit more if it was even more focused and maybe didn't include songs like the last one, which is over 20 minutes. So my point here is kind of a more quick to the point and stronger, shorter songs, which are not that much like, okay, go all the places. So that is the only complaint I really have about it. But very interesting band, and we'll see how this folds out later on. I mean, it's just the first album, so who knows. So far, this is, however, the best in this underground trio pile, so check it out. Links are provided for all these bands and whatever in the description box, so check it out, and I hope you like some of them. At least they're all different and all that stuff. Now, off you go. See you soon with more reviews coming your way. Bye-bye.